Hey guys, welcome to A Film Darkly. Today I'm just going to do a review, and it's a quick review of Black Panther. I just got back from the theater. It's really a solid film. Ryan Coogler just does a fantastic job with this movie. A lot of interesting camera shots, a lot of interesting angles. The film does kind of follow what seems to be the typical formula right now of Marvel films, and it does kind of have that same formula to it, but it does manage to have its own unique interpretation, as most of the Marvel films do have. So Ryan Coogler, is no different. He follows the same script, but he manages to do something really different. Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther and T'Challa is just he's as great as he was in Civil War. He's a wonderful actor, and he's still fantastic even in this movie. His character is just really relatable, and he's just a really intelligent, confident, character who just you kind of look at him and he's a real superhero. So it's really, really interesting, what they do with that character of T'Challa, and just how well Chadwick Boseman acts in this film. The villain, Killmonger, which I can't remember his African name, but or Wakandian name, but Michael B. Jordan does a great job in this movie. I've been saying it over and over. This guy just needs to get something else. He needs other work. I'm tired of him doing like this urban character all the time. It's not to say he's not good at it. He is. But we need to stop having him as this character who has like a problem with authority, who's kind of like this typical, like, sort of stereotypical urban street kid or something. And in this movie, he's kind of that same character. Sure, he's formerly Wakandian, but that's what he is, and he's deeply influenced by urban America. And you could kind of, see, like, the differences between, the two cultures of black people from America and black people from Wakanda who are African, and it's really interesting how they kind of pull that dynamic, and they kind of also pull like a bit of a dynamic that's sort of like I liked that this film, and I'm kind of going into the plot now. I liked that this film had a narration to it that was not what people would expect, which is sort of like this black nationalist type message. I think that's what some people were expecting, which is why this movie is like sort of being paraded around as like great representation for African Americans, even though, or black people, even though there's been many representations in the past. But it's also being like kind of championed as sort of like this civil rights type film, and it really isn't, and I kind of like that this movie sort of backlashes at the nationalist type view by sort of giving another view, which is, let's see past color. And I'm not going to say how exactly that all culminates. You just have to kind of watch the movie. And I like that this movie had that message, though. It had that message of a globalized or universal race and a universal friendship, and I love that. I really like that about this film. It was a message that really rung home for me, because I don't like all the virtue signaling or focusing directly on particular races and making it about like well, my race isn't, my people are being held back, or I don't always like that kind of talk. I kind of want us to be able to get past that, and sort of move into a new age of how we think about each other and how we, consider one another. So I thought this movie kind of had that message really well woven into it. And, it didn't feel like, as some people are saying, it's an SJW film. It wasn't like that at all. It really wasn't. So I thought it was a great movie in those terms. I thought the plot was really nice and really complicated and dramatic. And it was a dramatization that circled around family and heritage, which is always a great type of dramatization because it hits home. And I like that. I like that it was about civil war, so to speak. It was about how a society is affected by a heritage, which is similar to what Star Wars does. This one heritage of the Skywalkers affects the entire galaxy. And so it's like T'Challa and his family affect all of Wakanda and what Wakanda is, and what Wakanda represents. And so that was very, very intriguing. And that was interesting to see that, because that always makes for good stories. The action was really good. There was a few muddled moments, and we've been seeing this sort of method done a lot in film. I know Michael Bay does it, which Michael Bay is known for explosions, but Michael Bay's second way of doing action is confusion. Let's rock the camera around. You don't know what's going on. There's a Transformer's foot. Now we see a kick somewhere. We hear someone get hurt, but we're kind of like all over the place. And there was a little bit of that. There was a little bit of the shaky camera approach. And then it had a lot of approaches that were just really killer. Really, really killer. And the things he did with, Ryan Coogler did with Black Panther were just, nothing short of amazing how good of a fighter he was. And, which is similar to what we saw in Civil War. We just get to see more of it. And it's really, really good. So I like that they did that. I liked most of the characters in this movie. Even Andy Serkis's Claw, Andy Serkis is a great actor, though. He doesn't get enough credit. He did fantastic in this. He really did. And I was kind of looking forward to the Claw character, because I'm kind of, for some reason, I've always been intrigued with that villain from the comic. He looks nothing like that character, but I was always intrigued with him. However, I will say that as great as this movie was, as much as this movie did things right, it had a few issues. It seemed to have some continuity issues. I thought that the beginning was cut in a very jarring way. I didn't think it fit very well. I thought that I thought they could have done a lot of switching around with some of the graphics and stuff, which was, graphics as in text and stuff. But those are like small shortcomings. Continuity can be somewhat of more of an issue. At least it seemed like continuity issues. Other than that, I would say like other than the fact that it's only so good is its only downfall, because it's not like amazing in every way. It's just really, really good. It's good it's really amazing at certain things, and then it's good at other things, but it's not amazing all around. So for that reason, I kind of gave it like on Rotten Tomatoes, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Which has sort of been my go-to right now at Marvel. Marvel keeps hitting out of the park and kind of doing the right things that gets me to say, you know what, you're just good enough to make that 4-star mark. I almost gave Black Panther 3.5. The only reason I marked it up to 4 was because of Michael B. Jordan. Because there was a scene with Michael B. Jordan at the end with Chadwick Boseman, and I felt like Michael B. Jordan almost outacted him. And that's hard to do, because Boseman's great. And I felt like he almost outacted him. In some ways, I felt like he did. I mean, Michael B. Jordan he's just so good. He's so good. Last note, soundtrack. I thought this soundtrack was going to be like all hip hop, because that's all that's ever been in the trailers. Not at all. It had a real soundtrack to it that had like an African tone to it. Very reminded me a lot of Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. But it had a great like African sort of beat to it, and then it had this urbanized theme for Michael B. Jordan, which was really awesome, because even though it was a cue that he was coming on screen, it fit him. It like really fit him, and I like that. I love that they did that. I really do. And there was hip hop in it, but it was very fitting. And there was other kind of music too that was just very fitting. And the movie didn't end with like, you know, your average hip hop. It ended with a different type of music. So it really was interesting to me. Like I know people have been talking about the soundtrack, but I just thought, it's probably just some hip hop soundtrack that I'm just not into that kind of music. But this soundtrack was actually really good. It was really, really good. So, I can't remember the name of the person who did that. I think it's something, Lamar or something. I should look it up, but honestly, I'm kind of tired. So I'm just going to leave it be. You guys couldn't find out who that is. But, yeah, the soundtrack's great. It's a really, really solid soundtrack. Really solid. Obviously, 2 after credit scenes. Stay for both. The middle one I actually thought kind of, in a way, seemed like it should have been the actual ending to the movie. I don't like that it was a mid-credit scene, just because of the message that's woven within it. The final one is really good to watch because it gives you a glimpse into a certain character you may have been thinking about, especially concerning Wakanda. So I would say definitely stay for those credits. I always say stay for end credits though, because they even if they're not that good, they always somehow address the next movie or give you a laugh, if anything. So I would never say that they're bad. Some people say, oh, they're bad. I don't think they're bad. It's just, it depends on you. It depends on you, I guess. But most of the time, they're either funny or they actually say something, about what's about to happen. So, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Go see Black Panther. See if it could fulfill that 160 million opening weekend. I highly doubt that. But you never know. If it does, it actually breaks the record for the solo film. Right now, the solo film, I think, is held by Deadpool at 130, maybe close to 150 million. So it breaks the record for solo superhero movie. Obviously, that's like a subcategory type record, but some people love to cling on to any little record. I mean, people were exploding about Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman only pulled in 110, which isn't bad, but to be honest, for what it was, it should have made more. And the fact that people kind of were championing it as so successful, it's like, okay, you're just following a rhetoric or a dialogue. And Black Panther's going to be no different. It's going to follow a certain dialogue. But it is a good movie, and it is worth watching, just like Wonder Woman was. And it has and unlike Wonder Woman, I actually think this movie has a better sort of story, more moral, and philosophical meaning to it. So go see Black Panther. Thanks.